You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Live fans, I believe we have reached a point now when it comes to the NFL and vaccinated or unvaccinated players. We reached almost a breaking point at this point. The sports media has laid a line in the sand. You better get vaccinated or else. This is the way the sports media has handled this whole vaccination thing. Now, guys, we believe on this channel, me and Rose, that if you want to get the jab, that is up to you. Consult with your own medical professional and make the best possible choice for yourself. But guys, we have seen the sports media go out there and pretty much call for the cancellation of any NFL player that does not want to get the jab. We've seen it in politics too. It's kind of crazy. We talked about Stephen A. Smith basically saying that if players don't get the jab, that the NFL should kick them out the league. So people in the media, the sports media, are calling for people's jobs if they don't get the jab. This is wildly dangerous, folks. This is supposed to be America. We're supposed to have freedoms, especially when it comes to any type of medical stuff, okay? But now we're going to be talking about Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports, because he has come out and he has slammed Kirk Cousins and Lamar Jackson because they refused to get the jab. Now, in the case of Lamar Jackson, he caught the virus twice in the past year. He's young, he's in shape, and he fought it off pretty much with no complications whatsoever. But Doug Gottlieb feels like he needs to be a doctor in this situation and tell Lamar Jackson, you better get the jab. Now, we know where Kirk Cousins stands. He's never tested positive for the virus. He's never had the virus. He doesn't want to get vaccinated, and yet the media is still slamming him. So we're going to be diving into what Doug Gottlieb had to say about Kirk Cousins and Lamar Jackson. Doug Gottlieb slams NFL stars Kirk Cousins and Lamar Jackson for refusing vaccine. You're embarrassing the entire profession. So he said that they are embarrassing the entire, NFL sports profession because they do not want to get the jab. I don't know who made Doug Gottlieb a doctor, but I digress. It says here, with the NFL reporting nearly 90% of its players are vaccinated, two prominent quarterbacks continue to make headlines for refusing the jab. Quote, you can't be a quarterback in the NFL unless you're highly intelligent. Smart people do stupid things, close quote. Fox Sports Radio host Doug Gottlieb ranted against the NFL's unvaxxed population. So he actually said, folks, you can't be a quarterback in the NFL unless you're highly intelligent. Now, guys, we've seen some pretty dumb quarterbacks. When it comes to getting a jab, I believe you can still be a quarterback, whether you're vaccinated or not. This is ridiculous for Doug Gottlieb to actually say this. Last week, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins announced he would consider surrounding himself with plexiglass to avoid COVID, despite refusing the more effective protection offered by getting vaccinated. Later, Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson returned to training camp unvaccinated after being sidelined by COVID twice in 8 months. Now, I already talked about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is going to have antibodies. He caught the virus twice, and he's still kicking strong, little to no complications. I believe he had to quarantine for 10 days. I'm pretty sure he had no really bad complications. But this is what Doug Gottlieb said. He said, quote, fool me twice is on me. That's the Lamar Jackson thing, and the Kirk Cousins thing. It's like, what are you actually doing? Gottlieb said. There isn't any science, any data to back up your stance. Well, Doug Gottlieb, you're wrong. Lamar Jackson, he actually has antibodies because he caught the virus. Kirk Cousins, he still hasn't caught the virus. Quote, I know all about Tuskegee. I know all about the lack of trust in the government. I get it, Gottlieb continued. But when every scientist is telling you what to do, when college teams and pro teams are all getting vaccinated so they could have a season, why are two franchise quarterbacks not doing the same? You're not just embarrassing yourself, you're kind of embarrassing the entire profession. Well, let me tell you this. Every scientist is not telling you to get the jab. Every doctor is not telling you to get the jab, because there's some people that cannot get the jab, the Gottlieb. But he's not a medical professional. He's just going along with the narrative that if you don't get the jab, you're some kind of a bad human being. You're not following the science, all of this. He's a part of the media. He's not a medical expert, and nobody should be listening to Doug Gottlieb on this. He can give his opinion. I respect it. He can talk about that, but we should not be listening to Doug Gottlieb for medical advice. Gottlieb noted that he understands Jackson's hesitancy more than Cousins, considering the Ravens quarterback already overcame COVID twice unscathed. He added that both players could still do the, quote, unselfish thing and get vaccinated. If not for you, then someone else. Folks, if you're unvaccinated out there, are you actually going to go and get vaccinated just because an NFL player got the jab? If you're doing that just because some NFL player got the jab, then you're a moron. You should be out there doing your own research and not listening to athletes on this, because everybody is different. And you shouldn't be listening to the sports media also as well. You should actually do your own research based on science, your doctor, not an athlete saying, go get the jab. Getting vaccinated also bodes well for NFL teams, with the league imposing stricter protocols for players who refuse the jab. Those rules include possible forfeited game checks in games if a team outbreak occurs among unvaccinated players. Now, what if an outbreak occurs from a vaccinated player? Because we know even vaccinated people can spread the virus. We know that the NFL is not going to cancel games because there's a lot of money involved. It's not going to happen. It's just not. But he continues on here, quote, as much as I like to be a contrarian by nature, this is not one of those times. Kirk Cousins only telling half the truth is like a politician, the Fox Sports Radio host said. I can't explain the idiocy of athletes at times because I like to defend most athletes. To tell you that the old days of the dumb jock are just that, old days. But these guys aren't helping me out that much, close quote. I gotta say, man, Doug Gottlieb is a complete moron on this. A complete moron. He does not know the medical conditions of these two athletes. And this is still America. We should be making our own decisions on this. We shouldn't be losing our job just because people refuse the jab. It shouldn't be happening like that. This is still America. We have our freedoms. You know, nobody's actually saying to go out there and get the flu shot every year. Nobody's pushing that. Nobody cares about that. And we know that the flu kills a lot of people each and every year. But nobody is in an uproar about the deaths from the flu. Nobody is. Nobody in the sports media cares about that. I'm pretty sure nobody even knows how many people in the NFL or players in the NFL actually have gotten the flu every single year. But that's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Live fans, what do you guys think of Doug Gottlieb of Fox Sports slamming Kirk Cousins and Lamar Jackson for refusing a jab? I mean, he just sounds like an NPC right now because this is the talking point of the sports media. They're acting like they're some kind of medical experts when they're not. They don't know the medical history of any of these players. Do what's best for you, check with your doctor, and make the best possible decision for yourself. Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to Black and White Live, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.